You're listening to reports from the Chronicles of Yowie Sightings. Make sure you visit our website, yowiesightings.com, for detailed witness reports and location investigations, with immersive photos to learn about the elusive Australian yowie. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button to make sure you don't miss our future videos.
The following yowie sighting report came from Queensland, Australia. Here is the account as told to us by truck driver Peter Hartgers.
I was driving my truck north on the Woollooga-Bruweena Road just on dusk. I was pleased to be clear of the incredibly rough, washboard, dirt section of the road and back on bitumen. I had just started sipping some tea from my thermos when a car approached way in the distance, and I dipped my lights as it came closer. As the car got nearer, its lights began flicking to high beam continuously as if I'd left my lights on high beam. The flicking continued, so I quickly flicked my lights to let the driver know I wasn't on high beam. But the car's lights kept flicking on and off high beam, and I slowed to see if they needed help. But as the car passed by, I looked down into the car to see the driver furiously motioning with his right hand back down the road. A bit strange, I thought. And I continued a little slower than I would normally drive, anticipating some cattle on the road, which is quite common here as it is open grazing country with no fences. I had not long passed the car, and up ahead I could see something running along the side of the road, which I initially thought was a cow, but to my amazement it was a deer. Now, in all the years I have driven this road, I have never seen a deer. The deer darted from one side of the road to the other as if it were confused by my lights. And I rolled past it without incident, thinking that this must have been why the car had been flicking its lights. It certainly was a surprise to see. I continued on for a bit, and came around a bend leading down to the Kulgoa Creek Bridge when my lights picked up something moving on the other side of the bridge. I couldn't make out what it was at first as I was looking to the bridge between a couple of large trees. But as I came off the bend, I had a clear view of the bridge ahead, and I instantly thought it was someone walking onto the bridge. I was thinking, who would be walking out here in the dark? As I never see people on this road walking in the daytime, let alone at night. It's too remote. I had to stop before a couple of signs, about 40 meters from the bridge, as it is only one lane. In a split second I was now confronted by an unbelievable sight. My headlights were illuminating an incredibly huge two-legged hairy animal creature, which is the only way I could describe it, standing at the other end of the bridge and looking straight at the truck. I couldn't fully comprehend what I was seeing, and I was completely gobsmacked at what was on the bridge. The creature was massive, covered in very dark sort of copper-colored hair, with really long arms that looked too long, and I could see some dark skin evident around its face and chest. I sat motionless as the creature continued its stare and began moving slowly from foot to foot. I began to feel really uneasy. And I hate to say it, but I was genuinely scared out of my skin. I just couldn't believe the sheer size of this thing that had human-like features in its hands and a face, with big eyes, and a huge mouth, somewhat human-like but absolutely not human. This thing would have been all of 9 feet tall, and was easily as tall as my cabin and so wide at the shoulders, probably 3 times as wide or more as me. I couldn't easily reverse back, and I thought this thing would be on me in a second. It was so huge as my feeling of insecurity ramped up. All I had in the truck was a large hunting knife, and I felt this would be of no use against something so large. I was just about to lock my doors, and the creature turned quickly and looked to its left, as if it had been distracted, and then took a weird step towards the bridge edge, leant down on one hand and swiftly launched its huge body over the side, and disappeared into the darkness below. It would have to be a good 30 feet drop to the creek below. And this thing just jumped over like it was stepping over a small fence. I just sat transfixed on the scene in front of me and watched, trying to comprehend what had just occurred. It was incredible. I decided to roll onto the bridge, and as I approached where the creature jumped over, I peered into the darkness of the creek below. I couldn't see or hear anything, and I wasn't game to shut down the engine. So I continued on, feeling shaken and in an extremely confused state of mind. I reckon the car driver I passed earlier must have seen what I had seen. And I wonder if anyone else has seen this strange creature, which I now know must have been a yowie.
What an interesting report from Peter. And we thank him for sharing his incredible sighting. Please subscribe to our channel and visit our website to keep up to date with yowie sightings. And remember, if you see something, say something, and tell us about your encounter. You can email John at yowiesightings.com.